Senator Mike Rounds says there's a problem in the meat industry.
Today, if you had meat or poultry processed at a South Dakota inspected facility in Hudson, South Dakota, you wouldn't be able to sell it across the border just a few miles away in Iowa, but you could sell it several hundred miles away in Lemon, South Dakota.
He's talking about the difference between state and federal inspections. Federally inspected meat processors can sell their products across state lines. State-inspected processors can only do that with special permission. That became a problem early in the pandemic. Slowdowns at packing plants made meat scarce in grocery stores. Consumers turned to small processors like local lockers. But in South Dakota, they couldn't ship meat out of state. Rounds wants to expand the market for small processors.
It is time to end this arbitrary regulation restricting the sale of these products to within state lines and allow facilities inspected by state meat inspection programs to increase production and sell their product nationwide.
The consolidation of meat inspection happened more than a century ago. South Dakota State veterinarian Dustin Odokoven says the federal government had good reasons for taking over interstate meat inspections in the early 1900s.
Certainly at that time, you had some bad dudes in Packertown there in Chicago, and they were not, you had company guys that were supposedly doing the inspection, but they were reworking stuff in the basement and all that kind of stuff, all that stuff, and then so from there they said, state inspection, city inspection, you guys are not doing what needs to be done. We're going to put this all under the federal government.
Upton Sinclair's 1906 novel, The Jungle, was the catalyst. The book exposed shockingly unsanitary conditions in packing plants. Congress and President Theodore Roosevelt responded to the public outcry with the Federal Meat Inspection Act. It required federal inspection of all meat processing plants shipping products across state lines. That system is still in place today. About 30 states have created meat inspection programs for small processors. For decades, those state-inspected processors could not ship their products around the country. Congress opened the door to interstate sales of state-inspected meat in 2008. That year's Farm Bill created the Cooperative Interstate Shipment Program, known as CIS. States that apply to the program have to prove their inspections are as good as federal inspections. Then, those processors have a national market for their product. South Dakota initially avoided joining the program. State veterinarian Dustin Odokoven says the program does not truly recognize the validity of state inspections. State inspectors have to undergo extra training, even though the state has already trained them. And the state pays 40% of the program costs, even though it's a federal stamp, not a state stamp, that goes on the inspected product. Odokoven says the Federal Food and Safety Inspection Service runs the program.
And I think it's pretty telling that legislation went through in 2008. FSIS implemented rules governing the CIS program in 2011, and here we are nearly 10 years later, and we just got the 7th state to participate.
The program has since grown to 8 states, and South Dakota could become the 9th. The state has applied to the program and could be accepted by next fall. Governor Noem alluded to the application in her budget address.
And we're also working with USDA right now to give our farmers and our ranchers another option to be able to sell their products across state lines. These efforts could dramatically improve South Dakota's meat processing options in the coming months.
The pandemic motivated this effort to expand the market for South Dakota meat. Early last year, many consumers turned to local lockers when grocers saw meat shortages, and those lockers were overwhelmed. Joe Sherman owns Dick's Country Butcher Shop in Irene. Last summer, he said his custom butchering operation couldn't keep up.
I got people calling to book stuff to butcher, custom. I'm so far behind, I'm not even booking stuff right now. So then they want to maybe buy some meat over the counter retail, and a lot of that stuff I'm out of because of the high prices, and I'm having a lot of trouble ordering stuff because the distributors are out.
Some lockers got calls from people in other states. But even if they had meat to sell, the state-inspected lockers couldn't ship it across state lines. The state's application to the Cooperative Interstate Shipment Program could fix that. Governor Noem is also addressing the capacity problem with a grant program for small meat processors. She wants lawmakers to budget $5 million for it.
This program is for the small processors that our local producers rely on. Through this program, processors can apply for a grant to pay for facility upgrades, like new freezers or processing equipment. We'll make facility improvements to manage increased capacity or work to expand their operations.
The state's congressional representatives are taking action too. Senator Mike Rounds has a bill that would legalize sales of state-inspected meat around the country without the need for the Cooperative Interstate Shipment Program. Congressman Dusty Johnson has a similar but more narrowly focused bill. It would allow sales of state-inspected meat across the U.S. through e-commerce only, with a cap on the quantity of each sale. For South Dakota Public Broadcasting, I'm Seth Tupper.